Life 96.5, a tremendous afternoon to you. Ryan Nisley with you, and we have a special guest with us in the flesh, in studio right now. Todd Agnew is with us. Hello, Todd.
Hey, man. Glad to be here.
It's good to have you, sir, here in the flesh, especially, my goodness, the big voice man. I mean, you've got such a distinctive style in your voice, and so to meet you in the flesh is a great honor.
It's usually a little bit of a surprise. Most people, if I walk in the door, they're like, you're not as big as I thought you were going to be. Like, sorry.
Oh, I don't think it's a disappointment. You know, it's just a reallocation of imagery and stuff,
Right.
stuff like that. Todd is going to be in Pipestone tonight, in concert, the Pipestone Area High School Auditorium, 7 p.m. tonight, and tickets are still available at the door. Are you excited?
I am, man. I'm glad to be here. I don't get to this part of the country very often, and so I enjoy always getting to kind of spend some time with folks.
Do you already feel enhanced as a human being because of it?
I do. You know, we just, drove across Sioux Falls just now and kind of got the education of, here's how everything works. And so I feel, just a little more enhanced already.
Well, I'm sure that our area is enhanced to have you as well, Todd. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about your journey, because I was reading up on you a little bit, and you're kind of, a variety of locations and experiences. Texas, Memphis, there's some Bible studies in there. But take us back to the beginning. When you were 7 years old, did you know you wanted to be a rock star?
No, not at all. That was a very much last-minute thing. My sister was the singer, and I was the smart kid and the athlete, and so that's kind of the role I played. And started figuring out I had some musical ability, so started doing that later. And then really right before I went to college, I had scholarships in all academic stuff and a little bit of sports stuff. And then, like April or May before I'm supposed to leave, I just go, what? I think I really want to do music, and I'm not going to go to any of those schools. I'm going to go to this other school. And everybody's like, all the high school guidance counselors are like, that's not it. That's not a good idea. But that's just really where God was leading, and it took a long time. And even then, it wasn't really about being a rock star. It was it was being a worship leader and just going where God took me. And so it's been a surprise. You
do have a variety of roles that you play, as you alluded to there, and just from a professional standpoint, you do a lot of worship leading. Of course, you're a musician as well. You perform these concerts in front of hundreds and thousands, and you're a songwriter as well. I wonder, what is your favorite role out of all those? What is the thing that you really just live for?
The favorite one probably is answer E. Man, at heart, I'm a Bible teacher. That's what I love. I love seeing the Bible come to life for people, and I use music to do that, and use stories and those kind of things. But I just found over time that I can do a great show and have somebody that really enjoyed it, and it didn't affect their life at all. But if I can, help them come into some kind of living, active contact with the Word of God, then even if they hated all my songs, that could absolutely change their life. And so that's something I'm really passionate about. And I think, worship and songwriting and all those things kind of play into that.
Excellent. We're here with Todd Agnew. He's joining us, and tonight he'll be joining the good folks of Southwest Minnesota over in Pipestone at the Pipestone Area High School Auditorium. 7 p.m. Tickets still available at the door to see Todd tonight. You alluded to something that separates you as an artist who talks about his faith from perhaps other artists, and that is the message that you have in your music. But one of the things that's fascinating to me about you guys and gals is that you have the same trappings of fame in many ways. You go to those concerts, you have the adoring fans, you're signing the autographs, people look up to you. How do you stay humble in that respect? In many ways, to many people, you are a rock star. How do you stay humble and grounded?
Man, the real equation is actually really simple. Walking it out is not necessarily easy, but always found, man, the key to staying humble is to keep your eyes focused on Christ. And if you're looking at Him, you're never going to be impressed with yourself. No matter what you accomplish, it is never going to be anything. I mean, the Bible says our righteousness is filthy rags. That if I'm looking at Him, I can tell that even my good stuff is just filthy rags. And it's when I stop looking there and I start looking at me or start looking at other people that's when those kind of things filter in, and you can start believing your own press. And I thank God. I was an indie artist for 13 years before I did Grace Like Rain, and I think God took those 13 years kind of to beat all that out of me, to teach me these lessons, so that by the time that I got to where I am and people did know who I was when I walked in the door, that I already knew, hey, look, that's not about me, and my job is to keep my eyes focused on Jesus. And so I've been fortunate enough to learn that lesson before I got here.
Well, tell us about Grace Like Rain, because of course that was your first mega hit, and it still plays on our station, I know, many times. Tell us what went into that song, forming it, and how did it happen?
Yeah, I grew up in church. I'm that kid that was born on Tuesday, was in church on Sunday, with my Bible verse memorized so I could get a star in the first week. I was that kid, and so I grew up on hymns. I grew up with all those songs, and then as I became a worship leader, I really shifted the other direction and just played new stuff. And God started teaching me the value of those older songs. So I started bringing those back in, realized that my youth that I was leading didn't know what those songs were about. That's why they didn't connect to them. It wasn't because they were old. It was because they were singing "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing" and didn't know what an Ebenezer was that they were supposed to be raising. And so it was kind of this educational thing. And so we had a guy that was an intern with us in youth ministry back then, that now is still one of my best friends. And he came in, and he didn't grow up in church. He came to Christ later in life. And so he came and said, "Man, Todd, I've really enjoyed what you've been doing with these hymns, and I love that Amazing Grace song that you've been teaching about. But I didn't grow up in church, and the music doesn't move me. It doesn't mean anything. So I took it and I put a new tune to it. And I wanted to play it for you." I was like, "Dude, I'm not sure you can do that." I think some people might be really upset about that. And but he played it for me, and I realized it really did have something special. And so I said, but it feels like it needs to celebrate what has been given. So I ended up writing the chorus for it. And honestly, man, we forgot about it. We just kind of put it aside, and we didn't use it for 6-8 months. And we had a worship service that I came in, half a year later. It's like, man, it's too bad we don't remember that Amazing Grace song, because it would be really good in this moment of the service. He's like, "Oh, it went like this." I'm like, "Yeah, but I wrote that whole chorus, and I don't remember that at all." He's like, "Oh, it went like this." So we pulled it out that night and actually used it, and man, God just crushed the place. I mean, it was just powerful, and we were like, that was nuts, man. And so I was playing the next night in a different state, leading worship for a different kind of thing, and I took the song with me and taught it to them, and the same kind of thing happened. And we just realized that, unbeknownst to us, God was doing really something powerful with that song, and it's been an honor to get to be a part of it.
We're talking with Todd Agnew here this afternoon on 96.5. He's with us in the flesh here in our studio. A lot of green foam. Do you feel safe in here?
I do. It's very, very foamy.
Todd's going to be in Pipestone tonight at 7 p.m. tonight at the Pipestone Area High School Auditorium. You have a very distinctive style in your music, and that big voice that we mentioned. What are your influences? What kind of music did you listen to that kind of formed your voice?
Vocally, I didn't grow up listening to pop music, if you can't tell. I grew up hanging out with my dad in the garage listening to NPR. So I grew up listening to folk and blues and jazz and just all the different styles of music that aren't pop.
Sure.
I grew up listening to everything else, and so the voices and the styles that I really fell in love with were the big black gospel singers and the blues guys, and I loved those guys. And to be honest, I don't know that I could do that, you know, when I was younger, but I loved that kind of music, and so I think vocally a lot of it came from those influences, and you know. It's funny because I look back and remember like when I started playing, and I wasn't ever going to be anything big because honestly I just wasn't very good. Because I was trying to sing like all the Christian singers sang,
Sure.
and that all the guys sang so high. And so I just had their little accompaniment tracks and tried to sing it, and it just wasn't good. And then you got, you know, you hit the 90s and you had, well, not in Christian music, but I mean, it was still the 90s in Christian music, but it was, but all of a sudden in the 90s you had Pearl Jam and Hootie and the Blowfish and these other bands come out, and they'd come on the radio and I'd go, oh, I can sing that. I mean, it was very natural and very comfortable for me. And so I was already leading worship and playing things, but I was also playing coffee house shows. And so I'd try out some of those songs in that, and it was like markedly better than everything else I was doing. And so I kind of started finding my own place of, rather than trying to always emulate somebody, of just going, hey, what if I just find what's comfortable and good for me? And you know, as God grew me over time, it became something I got to share with people.
That's really interesting. The process to find your own
definitely
voice.
a long way.
We're talking with Todd Agnew this afternoon. We want to let you get going, Todd, because we know you're a busy man. Got to get over to Pipestone and play your show tonight. But I wonder, in closing, you know, as you go throughout this summer and this fall, and you talked about a tour you're going to be doing with Jason Gray, Southwest Minnesota's own, this fall, but if there was only one thing that somebody could leave your show with every night, and one message that would be remembered, that would stick with them, and that you could communicate, what would that be?
And my hope every night is I want people to kind of have the opportunity to take one step in their relationship with Christ. And I found that if I come in with my agenda of I want you to learn this theological fact tonight, or I want you to know this song now, that I can hit a group of people. Maybe if it's a good song, or if it's an easy fact, I can hit a broad group of people. But I don't want to do that. I want God to take each person there a step from where they are closer to Him, and so because of that, I build my evenings, and they're like, you know, what you said about my career is that they're really diverse. We do a lot of different things throughout the evening, but hopefully that through that everybody connects somewhere, and that some people just take that first step of, are you saying that God really loves me? You know, they're not even ready to accept that yet, and they just start moving towards that acceptance. But some people, you know, are way farther down the faith journey than I am. But even for them, you know, we try to include, you know, scripture and challenging things so that they take a step as well. You know, whether it's out of learning something or just being encouraged and strengthened by being with the body. And so that's really my hope each night.
Excellent. Well, it's been a lot of fun getting to know you a little bit more, Todd. Thank you so much for coming out to our studios and hanging out with us a little bit.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, and we wish you the best tonight. A lot of fun, I'm sure, will be had in Pipestone tonight. Pipestone Area High School Auditorium, 7 p.m. This good man will be there. You can find some tickets still available at the door there in Pipestone tonight. Thanks again, Todd.